Let's talk about the camera movements, which types of movements exist and what equipment you should use to get these movements. But most important is knowing when to choose which movement to enhance your story. Movement can create and increase emotions, which is one of the top goals in a successful storytelling. So you can also say the camera movement is a part of storytelling, like the choice of the lens, composition, settings and lighting. The goal is to move not only the camera itself, but also the audience's attention. In film, something has to move, either the camera or the subject. The following names of the movements are important to know for you to create a shot list or note down your visions, that your future you or someone else can understand what you mean, so you can share your ideas better with your customers or other team members. There exist countless variations of movement, but the following ones are what every other movement is based on. Every stabilizer is like a brush for a paint artist. It is a tool to help you make your final picture, in this case video. To get the smoothest and most controlled looking movements, you should try to ease in and ease out your movements, making everything more pleasant to watch. Abrupt movements also have their place, but you should choose them with purpose, like everything. Each movement can be slow or fast, which also affects your storytelling at the end. All the movements can be enhanced to make it visually stronger when you use a foreground in the frame. The first one is the static shot. The camera itself is stationary and has no movement at all. It's mainly achieved with the tripod, on a dolly or every other stabilizer that can be used without movement. It's great to show sadness, peace and silence, or also that someone is trapped, when before happened a lot of movement and now not anymore. It can also be used for dialogue sequences or performances by a musician, dancer or an actor. It gives you the freedom to work with precise compositions, and the focus is more on the blocking and staging. The next shot is the pan. This is when the camera moves at a fixed place horizontally from left to right or vice versa. You can get this shot with the tripod, gimbal, Steadicam, slider or every other stabilizer which has a fluid head on it, like a dolly. It's often used to reveal something, show an environment or follow an action. Slow pans can build tension and curiosity or reveal something, and fast pans create more energy. You can create an effect of turning your head in the POV perspective or other effects like a whip pan transition, which can combine two different locations through time and space. Noteworthy is that the color and brightness of the end from the first pan shot match the beginning of the next shot, so it looks more seamless, and also ensure that you pan both in the same direction, so it can be matched in the post. That means the first shot should have at the end a whip pan to the right. And now the second shot starts with the whip pan to the right and stops right on your subject. It can also be used if you have to film two actors but they aren't available on the same day. You can imitate it as they are there, even if they are not in the same space. The next shot is the tilt. This is when the camera moves at a fixed place vertically up or down. You can get this shot with the tripod, gimbal, Steadicam, slider or every other stabilizer with the fluid head like a dolly. This shot can also reveal something or show an environment. It's also a good shot to start or end the movie. It has the power to give a character more dominance or show weakness. It can also be used to show how big or small something is. And the whip pan works also in this direction. The next shot is the push in. This move is created when the camera gets pushed in closer to the subject. You can achieve this shot with the dolly, slider, slide pod, gimbal, Steadicam, one wheel or handheld. It creates the effect to the audience that they are right in the moment, to show that something important is happening with the subject, or to show details. It's often used to show internal conflicts. A fast or a slow push-in can also create tension or comedy or be terrifying. The next shot is the opposite of the push-in shot. It's called the pull-out shot. This move is created when the camera gets pulled away from the subject. Also, these shots you can achieve with the dolly, slider, slide pod, gimbal, Steadicam, one wheel or handheld. It shows disconnection from something or can be used to end a movie or a commercial or to establish an environment. It's also able to create the feeling of isolation or when someone loses a battle. That brings us to the next very similar shot, the zoom in or out. This can only be created with a zoom lens. Every possible stabilization can be used for this shot type as long as you can zoom. The camera is usually not moving. Only the zoom creates the effect of movement. Our eyes can't zoom. Because of that, it's a very unnatural way to show something. Fast zooms create energy as well as nervosity, tension, dramatic or also comedy, whereby slow zooms can create mysterious, uncomfortable or curious feelings. It's often used in the horror genre. Zooms generally can also be used to reveal something. The effect of distortion and compression can be used to your advantage. That brings us to another exciting shot, which is the vertigo dolly zoom. It can be created in two ways, either a push in while you zoom out or a pull out while you zoom in. In both ways, the subject stays roughly at the same size in the frame, but the background comes closer or goes further away. It can be created with a dolly, slide pod or a slider combined with the zoom lens. Also gimbal or a Steadicam can be used, but it creates some shaking. Only when you have a wireless focus system this can be avoided. But with the gimbal you still have some slight up and down movement, which looks like shake at the end in this effect. Only if you can walk like a ninja, then you can get an acceptable result. But the best results you still get with the dolly or a slider. It's great to show that something is happening, to enhance a shocking moment, to show a conflict or a character is realizing something. Pushes you as a viewer into the character and their emotions. Can also be used due to the compression effect of the lens to bring the background closer to the character, to show that the character is into something, or the opposite, to bring the background further away. The next shot is the tracking shot. This is created when the camera follows in front or behind the subject. It's often used to follow a person from place A to place B. You can get this shot with the gimbal, dolly, Steadicam, one wheel or handheld. It's often used to get longer takes. It can build tension and should bring your audience to ask the question, where is the character going and what happens there. A tracking shot is similar to a tracking shot, but it means that the subject is tracked sideways. Also this shot you can get with a gimbal, dolly, Steadicam, one wheel or handheld. It is also a tool that allows you to play with the screen direction. Let's make an example. Behind someone is a bad guy. In front is the only escape route. If the character moves forward, she's safe. If she goes back, she starts a conflict. But it can also be used to follow a subject from place A to B. You can also create an effect with this shot. If you have an object that passes the whole frame, you can mask this out and transition so to the next shot. How you do this in the editing software, you learn in the editing chapter. The next shot is the arc shot. It is created when you spin with the camera around your subject while the subject stays centered or at the same spot frame. This can happen horizontally or also vertically. You achieve these shots with gimbals, Steadicams, dollies, especially when they have round tracks with the one wheel or special self-built rigs. It creates a very dynamic image with a ton of movement, which is called parallax. The background and the foreground move a lot, but the subject stays framed at the same place in the frame. It's used to show that something unexpected happens or to show an intimate scene with many emotions, or simply to get a lot of fancy movement. Often it is a creative movement to break the 180-degree rule in composition, to show something is changing now. That brings us to the next shot, the camera roll movement. This is when the camera rolls around the center axis of the lens. You can get this shot with the gimbal, Steadicam, handheld, or a special camera roll head for the tripod, which is very expensive by the way. The easiest way is still by using a gimbal. It's a very disorientating movement that can show shifts in the story or match the movement of a subject. It also can be used to create the in-camera transition. You roll the camera after you get the shot you need, and before you start the next shot, you start with the roll in the same direction as before. It's the same as to record a whip pan. When the colors and brightness match, it will look like a seamless transition when you put these two shots in the right time together in the edit. It's also a shot which is often used in music videos. The next shot is the pedestal movement. This shot is created when the camera is pointed straight at the subject while the camera is rising or sinking vertically. You achieve this movement with the gimbal, Steadicam, slide pod or an actual pedestal. It's often used to reveal something or to show a character's detail, like clothing they wear. The next one is the chip shot, also called crane shot. This is created by lifting the camera up or down with the crane. You can combine this very well with other shots like panning, tilting, track, pushing in or out shots. To make such a movement you need a crane combined with the gimbal or also dolly. You can achieve a wide variety of shots this way, depending on how big the crane is that you have and with which gear you combine the crane. And by the way, you can replicate the crane also with the gimbal combined with the monopod. Crane shots are mostly used to reveal something, follow a subject, go through something, get a top-down view and many more. Can be used to show how small someone is when the camera rises up and tilts down, or the opposite to show how big someone is while the camera sinks and tilts up. But with the crane combined with the gimbal on a dolly, you can do nearly everything that I just explained in this video. Then we have the rack focus. This is simply achieved by changing the focus from one subject to another. You can do it with every stabilization you want. You need only a lens that allows you to change the focus by yourself or with a wireless follow focus. It can direct the audience eyes to what they should pay attention to, especially in conversations, to shift attention to the person that is actually talking right now. It can also be used to reveal something from the foreground to the background. Also, you can have your focus at a particular place and only the subject moves into the focus or out of it, which can also be a good start or end of a video, or to create more tension. If someone holds a gun, direct the focus from the face to the gun. Use it to show what you think is the most important part of the shot. The next one is not directly moved, but you can get it only with a gimbal or a Steadicam. I call it Freestyle gimbal or Steadicam move, where you combine many different shots, primarily for longer takes, allowing you to get more complex movements freely in the whole space. With the gimbal you can also use a monopod on top to get even more possibilities to move freely in space. You can combine every possible movement like tilting up, panning, 360, walking forward and back and much more. The next one is the handheld movement. You need nothing only than your hands and the camera body, or a shoulder rig. You can also combine different moves and move absolutely free through space. It creates a more intimate feeling as if you are right there, and because it's shakier, it also creates more tension. It also makes a look that is associated with documentaries. Especially in action movies, this is a movement that gets used a lot to create more stress or tension, to show the hecticness and enhance the action. You have to know, all that what you have heard until now are a lot of examples from different movement types and what is possible to achieve with it, but there is even more possible. Important to know is how the movement is called, for what kind of scenarios it makes sense to use them, and what feelings you can achieve or enhance with which kind of movement. That gives you an excellent overview of all movements. Try to combine and experiment with these movements. Try to make some thoughts in the planning on which movement helps you to show what you want to tell with your story even better. Let's create.